Hey everyone, it's Sonia here to give you a little update. Remember when they told us that getting vaccinated was the best way to get back to normal life and put the pandemic behind us? Well, stop posting pictures on Facebook captioned as your post-pandemic picnic, because we're not post-pandemic. This is far from over, unfortunately. There have definitely been some problems. I'm going to give you the rundown. I just want to say I'm not particularly motivated to put my makeup on these days because I guess this whole thing is getting to me. Lucky for me, I have Ageless Glow, which is making my skin pretty awesome, so I don't really need the makeup. They're doing a giveaway right now where you can get a bottle of Ageless Glow with hyaluronic acid, which plumps and firms and tones your skin for just the $7 shipping and handling. This is one I actually use. Don't miss out on this offer. This is only for a short time. It's your chance to get a half-size bottle, try it out, see how much you love it. If you don't like it, you can return it. You'll get your shipping and handling back. Please check out the link below for more info. If you like my video, thank you for hitting like, and thank you for your support on Patreon, which keeps my channel going. And don't forget to sub to my bitchute. Okay guys, I'm going to try to give you this rundown. I'm going to be honest with you. I just did this. I sat here for 20 minutes and talked about this stuff, and I had my wig on. And it's so hot, like I can't wear the wig. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to just see me with my normal, whatever color you call this hair. Sorry, the wig has to go for now. So I've been keeping my eyes on Israel, like a lot of people, because they were one of the countries that had the highest vaccination rates with Pfizer, which is one of the vaccines that they're using here in Canada and also in the US. So of course we want to look at Israel to see what's coming down the road, because they're telling us here, everybody get vaccinated and we're going to put an end to the pandemic. Oh yeah, we're going to reach herd immunity. That's what they said. So let's see, did it happen? It was going quite well for Israel for a while, and then things started to go back up. As of late, they've hit 2,000 cases 3 days in a row as Delta spreads. So clearly it's not over for Israel. They've been looking at what's going on, and they're finding that the effectiveness for preventing serious illness has fallen to 80. The Pfizer CEO says it's down to 84. That's for serious illness, but for just infection, it's actually quite a bit lower. And a lot of that depends on how long it's been since the person got their shot. So it's turning out, this is quite mind-blowing. For the people who got their shots like in January and February, look at this. Data released by the Health Ministry on Thursday suggested that people vaccinated in January were said to have just 16% protection against infection now, while in those vaccinated in April, the effectiveness was at 75%. So you can imagine, like this is just from January to, I guess, July. So in 7 months, it went down, all the way down to 16%. Where's it going to be in December or January? And the effectiveness has gone from like 95% to 84%. So where's that going to be in the winter? Turns out that people who got the shot can actually get sick. They can also spread it. They say here 80% of vaccinated COVID carriers didn't infect anyone in public spaces. That actually also means that 1 in 5 vaccinated COVID carriers did infect people in public spaces. Usually, the infections spread the most in the home. Like the biggest risk you can have for getting COVID is to be living with someone who has it. And they didn't say whether any of these people infected other family members. We don't know. But apparently they infected some people in public. Only 3% spread it to 2 or 3 people. 10% spread it to one other person. And the 7%, they're not sure. So the solution was to reinstate the Green Pass. It's kind of weird because the Green Pass is like an immunity pass. Obviously, it's not referring to whether you can catch and spread the disease. Obviously, the immunity just has to do with how likely you are to not go to the hospital. I don't know what kind of immunity that is. I mean, not if you're trying to actually put an end to this thing. But anyway, Scott Gottlieb, the former commissioner of the FDA, is saying that the CDC needs to start tracking all COVID breakthrough infections. That's because a little while ago they decided that it wasn't really important to know if people were getting COVID after they got vaccinated. I mean, who cares? As long as they're not in the hospital, right? So they were only keeping track of vaccinated infections in people who were hospitalized. But now that it's turning out that research is showing that fully vaccinated people can transmit the virus as asymptomatic carriers, the scientific community is increasingly calling on the agency to track every breakthrough case. Well, it's turning out that vaccinated people who do get infected can have viral loads that are just as high as those in unvaccinated people. And it's also turning out that with the Delta strain, the Delta variant, the viral load is 1,000 times higher than the original coronavirus strain.
Data were clear. Now that we have a Delta variant, that has changed the entire landscape. Because when you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who gets a breakthrough infection with Delta, it is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person who's infected. That's the problem. So those data are very compelling, and that triggered the change in the CDC guideline.
So you can imagine why it might be important to find out who actually is infected when you've got vaccinated people who are infected but asymptomatic carrying viral loads as high as unvaccinated people, which are 1,000 times higher than the original strain, and you don't even know that they're sick and they're out in public. You might want to wear a mask. Maybe make it 2. Don't forget to stuff. There's actually this guy on Instagram here who was really angry about this.
Just watched Tony Fauci and CNN and Fox tell me that people with the vaccine, vaccinated people, are now spreading the coronavirus. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, I was, yes, I'm vaccinated. You had a little sticker. Yay, I'm vaccinated. Be a hero, be vaccinated. I went from being a hero because I'm vaccinated, and now you motherfuckers are calling me a super spreader? I ain't no fucking super spreader. Figure this shit out.
He's so disappointed. He's taking it really personally. I mean, they did tell people to take the vaccine so that they could protect their loved ones. Now they're telling them, well, yeah, you took the vaccine, but you can still get it. You can still spread it. You're probably carrying a viral load that's 1,000 times higher than it would have been last year. So put a mask on. Take some precautions. Oh, there's another piece of bad news for people who got vaccinated. It turns out they can also get long COVID. 20% of vaccinated health workers who test positive suffer from long COVID. A lot of young people that I know, they said they got it because they were afraid of long COVID, not ending up in the hospital and dying. They just didn't want their food to taste like garbage for the rest of their life or like have fatigue or trouble breathing. Turns out 20% suffer from long COVID. That's a lot. So we've seen that the longer it's been since you've had your shot, the lower your immunity is. Yes, you might stay out of the hospital, but you can get long COVID if you catch it. You can give it to other people. So what's the solution? Well, Israel is offering its older citizens a third COVID-19 shot as infections rise. Totally didn't see that coming. I thought this stuff was over. Not really. I didn't really think that. Also, unfortunately for some people in Canada who got 2 different kinds of shots, it's turning out that a lot of countries don't accept that as adequately vaccinated for travel. So in Quebec now, they're offering a third shot. They're saying you can take it at your own risk. And hopefully Then you'll be able to go on vacation at least. Other provinces in Canada, however, are not giving people the option of getting a third shot. So those people are just out of luck. They went and got double vaccinated so they could travel, and then it turns out they still can't travel. A third shot might be a good idea before you go into COVID season, winter illness season, and then you're going to have to get another one in the spring to avoid the 7th wave. Actually, that's not even a joke anymore. Spain, who by the way are very highly vaccinated, for people over like 70 or so, it's 100%. They're in their 5th wave. How many waves are we going to have? At which point are we going to stop calling them waves and just be like, yeah, it's COVID season again? Just like, what wave are we in for flu season? You know, we don't keep track. At a certain point, I hope it gets to that and that we don't just keep saying, oh, well, the 375th wave of COVID. I think people are going to become kind of numb to this whole thing. I know I already am. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine. She actually fled to Mexico, which I think is pretty smart. She's down in Mexico and we're talking on Zoom. And I was telling her about how they're in court now here in Quebec. One of these retirement homes is in court because it turned out that they basically murdered everyone in their facility because they have this thing called a respiratory protocol. And so when people get a respiratory problem, like I guess pneumonia or whatever, they don't treat them. They put them on morphine, Ativan, and scopolamine. And that pretty much finishes them off within a few hours. So what they did was they decided to put everyone who tested positive on that protocol. So even if they weren't having symptoms or they weren't really that sick, they put them on those 3 drugs and they all died. And there was one woman who was 92 who they put her on that protocol. And then it turned out she didn't even test positive for COVID, but they're like, oh, well, you know, we put her on the protocol anyway, and she died anyway. So they're in court now because they basically killed all these people. So I was telling my friend, I mean, there's that and, you know, all the neglect, like the massive amounts of neglect that led to so many people dying here during the first wave. Anyway, I was just kind of recapping this for my friend who's in Mexico. And she looked horrified. Like her face actually looked like the horrified emoji that they have on Facebook. Like she looked like an emoji. She looked like a shocked emoji, and then she looked like a horrified emoji. And I'm so numb that I'm just telling her this story like, yeah, and then they all went to court because they murdered people in the retirement home. In other news, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh, you look like an emoji. And it's like, where's my empathy? I didn't even feel her horror because it's like I've been horrified over and over and over for the last, I don't know, X amount of time. That at this point I tell the story and it's like I don't even feel it anymore. I mean, yes, it's all horrible, but it's like there's only so much trauma you can take, I think, and at a certain point you just kind of shut down. So I'm telling my friend this horrible story and she's horrified. And it's not even registering with me that she's horrified. I'm just seeing the horrified expression on her face and I'm just thinking, oh, she looks horrified. She looks like the horrified emoji. Oh, must be the lighting, you know? Anyway, it's certainly doing something to our minds, you know? But I guess that's like a kind of self-preservation mechanism. Sometimes you kind of have to shut down until the crisis is over. Otherwise, you just can't keep going. And clearly, it's not over. And I think we're going to be in for more crappy surprises. There was one thing that came out of Israel too, though. Here it is. I read a lot of Israeli news these days. Are recovered COVID patients more protected than the vaccinated? From the 12th of July. Interesting. Since May 1st, 72 people who previously had COVID were infected again, accounting for 1% of confirmed new cases, while 3,000 who were vaccinated have been infected, 40% of confirmed new cases. So it's looking like most people who got COVID and recovered from it, they have some kind of lasting protection. The vaccinated people have some protection also from infection, but as we saw in the other article, it starts to go down after a few months, which isn't really surprising because this is the way it works with the flu shot. it pretty much wears off after 6 months with the flu shot. They don't know yet for the COVID shot. But it's interesting, only 1% of confirmed new cases were in people who had previously recovered. The natural infection, if you survive it, might protect you for quite some time from getting reinfected. So that's the good news. Don't take my word on it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but there is some research that's pointing in that direction. And yeah, this isn't over. And it's crazy. What can I say? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little wrap up. And thank you for liking the video, for leaving me a comment, and thank you for your support on Patreon. Please check out the link. I love this stuff, or I wouldn't be on here telling you about it. You actually get to try a bottle for free. There's no catch, there's no sign up or whatever. There's none of that. So please check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you like it. And that's it. Thanks for joining me and joining me in the chat, and thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.